So the okay. So here is the when you render your image, sometimes you will have some really intense daylight, even though you have artificial light. Due to the intensity of the sunlight, you can't see the artificial light inside. Compared to the intensity of the each lighting. So for in this situation, even though you adjust the light, just exposure of this image, is still hard to tell the difference of the artificial light and the daylight. But let's see. Let's just try using the adjustment layer in Photoshop. I will use curve so I can modify more the dark area and the bright area. So I would use this point to adjust the intensity exposure amount on the bright side, but I would maintain the current area. I mean, I will show the difference first. Let's see. So this is like the original setting, but click and move the curve to the lower side. You will see the brightness can be like lower down, but add another point. This is like white area, so I would add the darkness on the bright side, bright area. But this is the dark area. This here is the dark area. So I will modify. I would like to add more light in dark area. So I'm gonna add another point by clicking and drag the point to the upper side to create a little brightness in the dark area. Let's see. This is the original image, and this is after I adjusted. Just keep playing playing with the 2 points until you find the right amount of darkness. So after you add some darkness in this image, you see the artificial light really bright, really glows. So I think all the artificial light in interior are really worked. Every lights are turned on. So this is a comparison. So always try to adjust the brightness of your rendered image, but because most of the image from the Revit need to be adjusted. In my experience, it's better to adjust it, better to retouch in Photoshop. And now maybe you can add some elements inside, such as trees or the human figures to create more feel, to create some mood or some the feeling really accommodates your concept of the interior.
So is there a way, and I know that file size is too small, but in Photoshop, is there a way to make your images sharper, or does it just?
Yeah, you can.
Just from
Yeah, but I would highly recommend to render in the high quality first. But if you lost all the model project of the Revit file, then go to the filter. And then here's the sharpen option. So you can sharpen your image using this filter. Let's see how you can make some difference. So let's go to sharpen and sharpen edges. So it kind of makes the edges a little more vivid, but it could not create some sharpen lines. Or just sharpen edges. or sharpen more. So this is the before and after. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And if you think the sharpen effect creates some too much like pixels, then you can adjust the opacity.
Did you create a new layer for
Yeah, I always duplicate the background layer just for safety, because yeah, you might lost the original image. So it's always good to have the original image as a background, and you can create hundreds of duplicated layer in Photoshop. So I always duplicate original image. So always duplicate the background. And then play whatever you want on the duplicate image, and if you don't like it, then it's just delete it and then create a new duplication. So control, just select the layer you would like to delete, you would like to duplicate, and then Control J to duplicate. And Control J, if there's no selection in that layer, it'll duplicate the whole layer. And if you selected some layer, it'll duplicate your selection. So maybe this, let's see.
So it's kind of
This image, I would duplicate the background first, and then let's play with the curves. Okay, a little darkness.
That's so weird though, because if you look at that, the red on the sun is red with the red in the
Then what I can do is that I could I don't like the maybe I would don't agree with the grass look like this flat, so maybe I can get some grass image from Google and then paste it into my rendering. So let's Google grass or garden. Try to find the similar angle. But currently it's like 45-degree angle from the upper in the eye level. So try to find something similar angle of the grass. It's too small. Pressing Ctrl V key, and then modify the size. At this time, it would be better to have some 3D line work. If you print out the line work from Revit, it will be really it would save your time to select the area. So if you have when you print your rendering, print the line work both. So when to save your time to select some area to adjust the material of some specific area, such as, for example, this area. If you have line work of this view, it would be easier for me to select the ground area. But now I don't have the line work, so I would use just a select tool. Or I would use
that
It is like glass.
Yeah.
There's like two types of selection tool. One is we usually use Magic Wand tool, but the other one is a quick selection tool. I mean, you need to like, if you know how to use both tools, it'll be easier for you to utilize both tools together. Depends on the situation you are facing now. Currently, we haven't used the line work for other class activity, so I usually use a Magic Wand tool because it's easier to select for line work. But if you select some area which has a lot of color information, I would recommend to use quick selection tool rather than Magic Wand tool, because you will grab some like similar colors according to. You can just click and drag to select some area, and it automatically selects the areas, and then you can just keep modifying using subtract and add here. Always select the setting from add to selection, and then use Alt key to subtract the selection. So here I need to subtract this area, subtract the stairs, because I want to apply the grass on stairway. So I would use subtraction tool. So it will be easier for you to use selection, the quick selection tool rather than Magic Wand tool in color rendered image.
It's just not connected to the ramp.
Okay, I think I selected the grass area, and I will create a mask. So if you're happy with the selection, go back to the grass layer, and then click this layer mask symbol. So it only shows my selection, and disable the rest of the area which I didn't select. And then I might need to change the layer setting to multiply to make it look more.
Gosh, that's so beautiful.
I think this grass looks more like realistic.
Yes, I'm Jazz, girl. Is that on the quad? Yes, that's the IC quad.
Did you go take a photo of it?
No, I found it. Yeah.
So always play with the layer option. Here's the layer option. Before you forget, always mind that you can play with the layer option. There are here you can like more than 20 of the layer option you can play with. And then always change the opacity to make more like natural and to be attached on the rest of the elements.
What is that for? Huh? Oh. I need a white project.
Any other questions related to your rendering image?
I need to start having weekly meetings.
And try to make your rendering a little like exposed when you render image on the interior rather than exterior. So when usually the Revit rendering shows a little less exposure for artificial light. So please increase exposure rate on interior of your interior rendering from Revit. And if you have some daylight in rendered image, try to like modify the amount of brightness using curves or exposure. And add some human figure, real time. And shadows in your watercolor using the gradient tool and brush tool we have been using for other exercises. So you should be enhanced.
Can you just look mine over? Because I'm not really sure if
Okay.
it's enhanced as much as you would like.